let's put all those concepts that we have discussed a while ago and apply it here in drawing a chair. So, following the same idea. Now, this is the part where you will use your colored pencil. So, you're going to use a different color for the construction of this chair. So, that's the main purpose of this exercise that we'll be doing, or the main goal. It's the main goal. We will be drawing this chair from the inside out. So, what we're going to do first is try to transform this into a simple object, which is, well, a a chair. Well, a cube rather. So as I'm doing this, I'm keeping in mind the same principle of converging lines. That all these lines should go to a vanishing point. And I'm not really trying to be super duper accurate with the perspective of the chair. I want it to be close, but I don't really need it to be super duper accurate. Because what we're after is studying the forms of the chair and not creating an exact copy of this chair right here. So, yeah, create first a cube, right? So, keeping in mind that these go here. Okay? So, what's next is you also have to create a inside view of the cube, like so. So, let me clean this up, and I want to make sure that my edges are lining up properly. Like so. Alright, and then from here, let's create the upper portion, or the backrest for the chair. Alright, then from here, we're gonna create volume for the chair. Alright, now at this part, we'll be using this shift key shortcut for creating lines. Because as I'm doing this, this is digital. Okay, so I find it hard to move around since my tablet is really small. If I'm doing this on a screen tablet, I would do it freehand, but since, well, I'm doing it using a drawing tablet, I have to use this technique for Photoshop wherein I click a point, then I hold shift, then click a new area. So it's not as easy as using a line tool. So in a way it's still a bit freehand, but since again it's for the demo, I have to use this to make my work faster. Alright, so we have this. Alright, and then what we're gonna do next is we are gonna create this platform for the chair. Now we already have the cube right here, and we are gonna create a bigger cube inside it. So in order to do that, well, we're gonna have to imagine first the dimensions of this chair on the top view. Okay, and then from here, you're gonna create an X from each corner. Alright, now this corner right here at the middle, well, as you create the corners from the top left to the bottom right, the top right to the bottom left, that intersection would be the middle portion of your box right here. Now you can also apply that same principle when you are dividing a plane in perspective. Now, every single time you do that, that intersection in the middle would be the midpoint of that plane. And in a way, you can use that to divide your plane equally. Okay? Now, having said that, we can also use this to expand our base. So, what we're going to do is we're going to move beyond. Okay, we're going to move beyond that square base. Then we're going to create a thicker portion for our box. So now we have managed to extend the base into something wider while following the same dimensions, which is what's happening here. As you can see, you have a base on the inside that's a bit smaller in size, and then you have something bigger on the outside. Now, in order to properly create a bigger size version of the base that we have here, we're going to use this X method to create a bigger box on top of this one. So, following that same example, I'm going to create points on these corners. Alright, then from here, we're going to extend it further outside, like so. And then from here, we're going to create, or we're going to decide how thick we want this base to be. So maybe if this is the thickness that we want, it's too big, for the overall feel of the chair. Okay, so maybe we can have it be this big. Alright, so from here, we're going to create new lines. From here, we're going to create new lines to extend the base our of our chair. As you can see, every line that I'm doing right now is following the same converging line concept that I did for our warm-ups. So this is the hard part, okay? So for every single line that you do, it should follow a vanishing point somewhere off screen. Okay, so let's say there's another line here, right? So they should probably look like this. If you create a line, let's say in between these 2 points, then you create a line like this for this base, that's obviously wrong. Now for the people who are really having a hard time um, doing this without a clear guide, what you can do is you can create guidelines. You can create freehand lines like this to help you estimate new lines in between these new guidelines. Okay, so moving on, we have this new base. Now this new base, we can give it volume or bulk here to here. Alright, so we have now managed to create a bigger base for this cube right here. Now what we can do also is um, maybe extend the legs, because right now as I'm looking at it, it's a bit too small, or it's a bit too short. Maybe let's extend it just a little bit. Okay, so as you can see here, it's just a simple chair, right? But there's a lot of construction going on, and you won't probably be doing every single chair that you draw for the next couple of years of your career. You won't be probably doing this like this, but it helps as a beginner, which you guys are probably are. It helps to strengthen your mind, your creative mind, into breaking down concepts, this complicated form into a simple concept. a bunch of cubes, a bunch of uh, rectangular forms. Okay, now we're gonna move on to creating the legs for this chair. Okay, now you just can't simply create one leg here and then create another leg here, because chances are the legs that you will be doing, the four legs, will probably be not identical to each other. So in order to properly create this leg equally, we're gonna follow the same concept that we had here. Okay, so again, create a box and then use the X method to divide this properly. Now, instead of going outside, right? Instead of extending outside, we are going to create a smaller box inside. So, we're going to create, or we're going to choose a smaller dimension to create a smaller box. And then from each corner, you're going to see here, you can create a smaller box like this. So, again, when you are doing this X method on a top view of a box, you can still use that same idea on a three-dimensional plane. Now, we can create smaller boxes on each corner. And from that corners, from that guideline of boxes that we have created, we can pull it up to create the legs of the chair. So now we are thinking of this idea, or of this concept into, we are trying to think of creating this chair using a three-dimensional thinking. Okay, thinking it, we're constructing it from the inside out. So we have here the base of the chair. Then from here, we're going to create an X method, like so. Then from here, we're going to choose, okay, so I think I want the size to be this small. So from here, let's create a new set of lines, a new set of converging lines. Okay, like so. Then from here, I'm going to use a different color, so you guys won't get lost as I'm creating this. So here's a new corner here, a new corner here, a new corner here, a new corner here. Okay, then from here we can pull this up to create the new legs for our chair. And the good thing about this is we created this base of the chair from a cube. And then from this cube, we are trying to sculpt the legs from this by removing areas that are not needed. So we are trying to think like a sculptor. So we have a simple base, which is the cube. Then from here, we're going to chip away unnecessary details. And then eventually, we will arrive at the legs of the chair. And the good thing about this also is, as you create this, you are sure that this base, or these legs of the chairs are actually right on their proper position behind or underneath the corner of this upper cube here. Okay, now the next part that we will be dealing with is, well, this area here. So we're gonna create a front plane here. So we're gonna create this area here, front plane. Then from here, we're gonna create a side plane. Okay. Now as you can see, I am very close to the horizon. So the top plane here will be very hard to see. It's gonna be a bit narrow. So I'm gonna be zooming in, making sure that it's on the proper perspective. Okay. Then from here, alright. And then to properly create an exact copy of this one, Well, we don't really have to copy it exactly, but visually we can just estimate that it probably is gonna be this thick. Okay, and then from here, let's extend this line here, and then let's extend the other line here. And from here, let's connect them like so. Alright, now we're gonna deal with these insertions or this back support for the chair. As you can see here, we can just create sockets here. Okay, now you can just estimate and just create a new one here and making sure that they are identical. Just inspect them visually and make sure that, well, they look close to each other. They look similar. And from here, we are gonna connect them to the other side. Like so, like so, like so, like so. And then as you create these lines, you have to make sure that they are converging, or they are at least parallel with each other. And actually, on this part right here, we don't actually need to show how it connects. We just we just want to make sure that it goes beyond this line right here. That's enough for this exercise. For this exercise, and then we're gonna do the same idea here on the bottom portion of the chair. And what I'm gonna do is I will lower the opacity just for clarity's sake, just so you guys can easily see what's happening. And what I'm gonna do here is, again, I'm gonna choose a corner here. It's not exactly the same size. If you zoom in, you can see that there's smaller gaps in between each of this supporting structure. So choose this side right here, like that. From here, connect, connect, right here. And then let's have, let's imagine that this form goes all the way inside this vertical base. That way, we can project it to the other side. So from here, okay, from here until this corner right here, and then we're gonna erase this. Then we're gonna turn the corner here, and making sure that I am following the same vanishing point that I have established throughout all these lines. So meaning this line right here, it's already wrong. So it's probably like this, maybe like this. Then from here, let's create the hole on where it's gonna be inserted, like so. And then from here, let's go inside once again, and then reach the corner. Then go here, project again, project, and project lines once again. Okay, and then finally we can connect the other end right around here. So essentially, we're creating a smaller box inside of this base of the chair. Now this is already wrong. As you can see, the perspective is off. It's supposed to be like this, like so. All right, and this part right here. Okay, so let me adjust this. It has to be, yep, more like this. Okay. Now after all this trouble just to create a chair. Okay, now we are actually gonna be filling out all these colored lines with a black pen. Okay, so similar to a pencil, after establishing this this construction base using colored pencils, we are now gonna be fleshing out the details in order to actually make this look like a proper chair. So now we are gonna be fleshing out this this construction, all these lines we're gonna draw on top. So again, you imagine that this is the colored pencil um, layer, and what you can do is you can lightly erase it to make it less apparent so you can properly draw on top. So yeah, we're gonna draw on top of this. Then at the same time, um, you have to be wary of how it's properly constructed. So as you can see here, this base, this upper portion here is actually going through the wide base here, and then this wide base here goes out like this, well, like this. So I'll probably make the base a bit smaller. Well, actually, in reality, it's a bit curved like this. So I'll probably make it like this. I won't teach you right now how to create curves in perspective, so I'll just make these lines, well, angular. Okay, and then going up here. So essentially, well, what I'm doing is I'm just showing the lines that are outside and the lines that are behind an object. I won't be showing it like so. And then let's move on to the other side right here. And then we want to make sure for this one that we get the proper angle. So this one is wrong, this line right here. So we have to adjust it, move it like this. Okay, now let's maybe turn down the opacity a bit more. Alright, and then let's make it like this. And then let's extend. Hmm, I see. I see. So I made a mistake here since this base here is supposed to be connected to this part. So, I guess well, I'll just extend it all the way down here and make adjustments. So instead of following my initial base, I'll just move it back. So it's the same alignment. I'm just moving it a bit in space. So it's gonna be somewhere here. Alright, and then here, like so, like so, like so. Moving here, and then let's erase these lines, like so, and then let's connect this base here. Oops, crap. So when you have the construction nailed down, it's actually easy to clean up your construction to arrive at a believable drawing, like so. And then of course we will be double checking our lines. I think it looks much better if it's like this. And another thing, there's another base here, so we'll probably create a new structure here underneath, like so. And there. Right? So this is how your drawings should look. So I should see underneath the construction lines, and then on top I want to see the clear black lines. And then from here you could add a bit of shading, like so. Just one value shading to show the dimensions of your object. Nothing too fancy. I'm not yet teaching you guys shading. Just indicating one tone to show form much better, like this. Okay, so that's how you draw a chair. It's a bit tedious, right? But it helps your mind to to understand how things work in a three-dimensional manner, because we're not just going to be copying photos all the time. When you get into the actual animation or visual development, you will be tasked to create ideas, or execute ideas that are not really here. So you're gonna create things that are believable, but they're still out of your imagination. And in order for you guys to be able to create those kinds of things, those fantastical concepts, you have to learn first how to draw things properly. And for me, this is how I learned how to create things from imagination, by studying and drawing these simple objects structurally, okay, from the inside out. I don't want you guys to be drawing chairs like this. We are not drawing outlines. We have to draw forms, right? So you have to understand how it's assembled from the ground up. Okay, now for my next demo, I will be drawing a table. Okay, the same principle, but from a different proportions. Okay, so stay around and wait for that next demonstration.